Back from that quick break, and of course, sometimes we need to revisit some of the social, political issues that matter to you as a citizen out there. And also, we try as much as we can to get neutral and also put these precedents that we're going to get and antecedents we build and premises. We put all of them on the same scale such that everybody feels a fair share or a fair cut of the national agenda. But however, we leave it to you in the house to make your choices. I always say that you listen to both parties and you make your choices. Someone was asking me backstage, why do you look into the face of the Ghanaian people and debate certain issues of necessity to them? And I say, when we do that, so you get to know what to do when you get to the polls. Remember, this is your power. My name once again is Prince Michael Commanders, the Ghana Show. I'm about to talk about something that is of so much interest to me. Now, this morning, my sound guy and my MCR guys have smiled so much. In fact, my producer himself, Isaac Multi, has been smiling. I said, why? He said, I'm talking because you're talking about something related to the breast. Yes. And so they are so excited this morning. So we're talking about breast. Nikwe, Pepsiva, Robertson, Adi, good morning. Yes. So I'll be speaking to Dr. She's a very pretty woman, Dr. Wadwi. I hope I got the name right.
You have.
Thank you. So we're speaking to Dr. Wadwi. She is with the Kolebu Teaching Hospital. She's a pediatrician, and she's the CEO of Baby and Co.
Baby Child and Co.
Baby Child and Co. Yes, we'll be talking about breast. How efficacious is breastfeeding?
Breastfeeding is the best gift that anyone can give to their baby. When you say efficacious, it is nutritious. It provides all the nutrition that a baby needs for the first 6 months of life. It gives a lot of protection to the babies as well from diseases, not just when they are babies, but even into adulthood. We know that breastfed babies score higher on IQ tests than those babies that were not breastfed. There are even some studies that say that they have better eyesight. And breastfeeding protects the mother as well. So it's not only the babies. It does so much for the mother. For the mother, it helps them to get back to their pre-pregnancy weight very fast. And we know that weight is related to a lot of lifestyle diseases. So that is health benefits for the mother. It protects against some cancers as well. Okay. And it helps with the bonding, the mother and the baby bond, which is forever, doesn't get broken. And for us as a nation, because breastfeeding is cheap, you don't have to buy anything for it. It helps with the economy as well. Now we are all talking about climate change. We're talking about pollution. There is no residue from breastfeeding or breast milk that is bad for our climate. So breastfeeding is everything. It's just the right start to life.
Okay. Right. Now, according to the WHO, breastfeeding should resume an hour after childbirth.
Yes, within an hour. So it's not an hour. Okay. So from the time you have given birth to the first hour, you should have breastfed your baby. Yes, ideally, it should be within the first 30 minutes after delivery.
Okay.
Yes.
So I'm a mother. I've just delivered my bouncy baby girl. So within a space of 30 minutes, she needs to be breastfed.
Yes, because those who have had babies will notice that soon after delivery, the baby is very alert. But then there's this period where when you miss, the baby gets drowsy or a bit inactive and then may tend to sleep for a while. And if you miss that initial period of alertness, then you may not get your baby that alert again. So soon after delivery, your baby should be put to breast. Apart from the fact that that is when the baby is alert, soon after delivery, the baby has come out of this warm, cozy environment in the womb to the outside, which is usually very cold. And then when you breastfeed, when you hold your baby, you provide a lot of warmth. When babies come out, their skin is clean, like clean because it was in the womb. We all have stuff on our skins that are friendly. So they may be, in other circumstances, they could be called germs, but they are friendly. And when you hold your baby to breastfeed, these things that are on the mother's skin that are friendly go onto the baby's skin and offer some protection to the baby's skin as well. Prevents the skin from getting all the bad bacteria and germs that are out there. So the friendly bacteria go onto the baby's skin. And when you deliver, there's this hormone that is released when you breastfeed, and it helps your womb to contract. So it also helps you with the bleeding after delivery.
Okay.
It helps your womb to contract fast, so you don't bleed so much after delivery. So, I mean, with all these benefits, and the fact that it's cheap, you don't buy it, why wouldn't anyone breastfeed? Breastfeeding is everything.
I see. And so you were saying something that, look, as part of the benefits go two ways for the mother and the babies. Now, talking about the baby, you spoke about an improved form of IQ for the baby. How does breast milk or breastfeeding go the long way to benefit the child in that part of the brain?
So that's technical, but then there are some nutrients that are in breast milk. That's I mean, you may try to simulate them as much as you can if you are not breastfeeding, like add to the other things that you can use to replace breast milk, but it's very difficult to get it that way. So we have these good fats, healthy fats and proteins that go into the baby's brain and help the brain to develop. So that's how come it's known that breastfed babies do better on IQ tests than non-breastfed counterparts.
Right, so we are discussing breastfeeding, and so there's an impending celebration. I don't know how soon that is. We'll delve into that very soon. Now, the World Breastfeeding Week, if we're going to delve into it. My worry is there are some women who say, "Oh, I'm very busy. I'm in the corporate world. I wake up at 6. I need to rush to the office and get there by 7, so I have to beat the car traffic. So I'm trying to put the breast milk in some sort of let's say, maybe a container or something for the baby, so my nanny feeds that." How dangerous is this, or how beneficial is this to the baby?
So when we talk about breastfeeding, we are not talking only about feeding directly from the breast.
Okay.
So you can feed directly from the breast. You can also feed express breast milk. So that is what you are trying to describe. As much as possible, every baby should be given breast milk. So if it is express breast milk that baby is going to get, then that's fine. We know that breast milk is full of proteins, and so it easily gets contaminated. So the only thing is that the mother knows about the hygiene aspect of it. For instance, if you are going to express the breast milk, then you need to have clean hands. You also need your equipment to be clean. If you are going to use a breast pump, you need that breast pump to be clean and sterilized. You can use your hand as well, so it should be clean. The containers into which you are going to put the breast milk should be clean. And then you may need to store the breast milk in the fridge or the freezer, depending on when you are going to feed it to your baby. And so you're not going to put it in a freezer where, I mean, the light keeps going on and off, and then you are not sure it thaws and it freezes. No, once you freeze the breast milk and it thaws, it shouldn't be frozen again. So you need to know about the hygiene, how to keep it safe. And then when you're coming to feed it to the baby as well, the hygiene at that time, because it can easily get contaminated. But express breast milk is a way of feeding your baby. Yes.
Okay, right. So we have on our screens. Hey. Wow. Wow. There's something, no, in as much as I mean, I'm trying to make it, a whole comical expression of this, but trust me, there seems to be something beautiful that I observe, the bonding, how the babies sometimes look into their mother's faces, or they try to grapple the breast and all that.
Yeah, so there's this bond that, I mean, whenever you hold your baby, to breastfeed, you hold your baby, there's always some contact. Even if you are feeding express breast milk, there's always that contact. Yes, so the skin to skin contact is very good. It helps with the bonding, it helps with the transfer of heat and transfer of good organisms and all those things. Yes, so then there's that bond. But the fact that you are feeding your baby a part of you sort of also comes into play, and then it helps with that bond as well. So yeah, breastfeeding is great for this bond between the mother and the baby. Yeah.
All right. This is the AM Ghana show for breast issues pertaining to breast. It's broad something. We'll have to talk about it for a whole month. But today we are laying focus on breastfeeding week celebration, which started August 1st
Yes, so we are in the breastfeeding week,
Right.
and then so all over the country. I'm here representing Pediatric Society of Ghana, as well as Baby Child and Co. All over the country, we have activities to mark World Breastfeeding Week. We have, like, we are engaging the media, talking to the public. People are in schools, churches, hospitals. We are holding so many activities just to raise awareness about breastfeeding, because sadly, when you take babies that are born in Ghana, by 4 to 5 months, only 40% of them are breastfeeding as they should. That's exclusive breastfeeding, because a baby is supposed to be breastfed right from birth till 6 months. And our breastfeeding rates, so less than half of all mothers are able to do this. And we think that one of the reasons is that the awareness may not be out there, and that's why we are raising awareness. So apart from this, there are so many activities that are going on, spearheaded by the Pediatric Society of Ghana, so that we raise awareness in the hopes that we can build up our breastfeeding rates.
Okay, let's jump into time in retrospect. When did this start? Because personally, this is the second time I'm hearing something of called the breastfeeding week, celebration, which is supposed to be worldwide. Where did this start from? Whose initiative?
It's an initiative by the World Health Organization.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So it's several years old. I don't know, but it's
yes.
So it's an initiative by the WHO. It's not only in Ghana; it's worldwide.
Okay.
So everywhere in the world at this time, health workers are supposed to be talking about breastfeeding, especially the pediatricians, the midwives, the nurses. Yes, because we deal more with the children. We are all talking about breastfeeding, trying to raise awareness. This year, the theme is protecting breastfeeding. Now and beyond the pandemic, a shared responsibility.
Okay.
Because we know that breastfeeding is not only the responsibility of the mother. Indeed, if the fathers don't get involved, if the fathers don't even understand, sometimes they are even fighting over the breast. So it really is a shared responsibility between the parents, all the stakeholders in health, that's the doctors, nurses, midwives, the government. Because you see, like you said, there are many women who are busy.
Okay.
They work for people or even for themselves. If we don't have maternity leave laws that are conducive, then no matter how much you are determined, you may still be able to do it, but it's like the environment is against you. Okay. Yes, so all the stakeholders, it's a shared responsibility, not only for the mother, but for the parents, the family. There are some families when the grandma puts the foot down and say that I fed you cuckoo, so your baby must eat cuckoo, then that's the end of the story. So what we are talking about is a shared responsibility. Everybody should come on board to protect breastfeeding, because it's good for everybody.
Yeah.
It's even good for the economics of the family. You save so much.
Okay.
Yes.
Because at the end of the day, you don't have to go and buy peach nuts and these expensive items for the baby.
You shouldn't have to buy it until your baby is 6 months old. You shouldn't have to buy it.
I'm worried because people take pride in, oh, she's 6 months, he's 6 months. But when you give him bangkong, he's okay. When you give him kinky, he's okay. When you give him wache, it's okay. How safe is this for a 6 month old?
Right from the time you are born until you are 6 months, you should be only exclusively breastfeeding.
Okay.
Yes. Unless for some rare reasons a doctor has found that, you should do something else. But from the time of birth till 6 months, you should feed only breast milk. The baby is not ready for anything apart from breast milk. The baby's intestine is not ready, so most of these things don't get digested. Okay. So you find a lot of these babies who are feeding solids when they shouldn't be feeding solids. A lot of them are malnourished. They do not have the adequate weight for their age. They don't have the adequate height for their age and weight and all that. A lot of them are malnourished because their intestines are not developed to absorb these solids that they are feeding. There are other organs like the kidneys. Most of these foods contain more salt than the baby can handle. And so there's an adverse effect on the kidneys as well. And then the baby is developing. At the same time, the brain of the baby is also developing. Okay. And so when the baby is not fed the right nutrients, which we are saying breast milk will provide until the baby is 6 months, then you find that the brain's development is also slowed because the body is not getting the nutrients. And then before they are 6 months, from around the time the babies are 4 to 6 months, they are able to hold their head up, and then they can be supported to sit. And that is the posture for feeding solids or semi-solids, because you start off with the semi-solids and you move to the solids. And so when this baby who is mainly just lying down and then you are feeding banku, you can easily choke your baby. And sometimes that is a matter of life and death. You can easily choke your baby.
Right.
So even posture comes in. And it's when the babies are, say, from 4 months that they are interested in these things that you are eating. Initially, they are not even interested in it. So before 6 months, most of them can't sit up. Sometimes they can't hold their head up. Swallowing solids is a problem. And then you find that a lot of people tend to force them. And we don't want that one to happen at all.
Right.
Because when you do, you can choke your baby.
The first question here is this. It says, hi, I am always upset when I see white fluids coming out from the mouth of babies. My wife told me that it's because right after eating, he wasn't allowed to belch. I hope you understand the question.
I think that I do. I think that I do. So when you breastfeed a baby, you are supposed to burp the baby.
Okay.
So what that is that you can gently rub the baby's back or gently pat the back, and then the baby brings out gas or air that the baby swallowed while breastfeeding. When that happens, sometimes as the air is coming out, a little bit of feed comes out, just a little bit. So when they burp, sometimes it's messy. But that is perfectly normal.
Okay.
Yes, so what you should do is to have like a small burp cloth, you know, so it catches it, or you just clean the baby. It's not all the time that when the baby burps, a little food comes out.
Okay.
But that's normal and should not be a problem.
Right.
Now, babies will actually bring out more food if you don't burp them.
Okay.
Yes, because when they want to bring out the gas or the air, then a lot more food. But when you burp them, then that is reduced as well.
Okay.
So when you breastfeed your baby, one of the things you should do after breastfeeding is that you should burp your baby. Just rub or tap the back gently, and then the air comes out. And it helps also to relieve a lot of abdominal discomfort for the babies.
All right. So initially we showed you videos of mothers who were breastfeeding their children. Let me take this opportunity to issue a disclaimer, right? To issue a disclaimer or viewer discretion. We are sorry if some of these images were quite too, graphical for your viewing pleasure, and so we say sorry. We just, like we do it, we educate, entertain, and of course inform you wherever you are. We are still talking about breastfeeding week celebration. People are throwing in a lot of questions. Those asking if they can share with their babies, I'll block you because you can't share with your baby. I mean, they said 6 months. Can't you wait? I mean, come on. However, today is Friday. We'll play a bit. So now, going through the importance of breastfeeding, I captured something that stated that adults who had proper breastfeeding highly stand a chance of getting a high blood pressure or cholesterol issues. How true is this?
So the thing is that breastfeeding helps the baby to maintain an adequate weight.
Okay.
So the adequate weight is you are not too small, you are not too big. So we have standards that are worldwide standards for breastfed babies. So sometimes when you don't feed your babies well, when you add on other things, you find that some of the babies become too big. And often they carry this weight through life to adulthood. And we know that obesity, if you are too big, you easily, or it's associated with hypertension, which is high blood pressure.
Okay.
It's associated with type 2 diabetes. It's associated with all these other issues you are talking about. So when you don't get that correct weight from when you are a baby, you tend to carry some of these things with you throughout life. Now also, if you were undernourished when you were a baby, the same thing will happen to you, because the way your body should handle food sort of goes haywire. And so later on when you are fed, things still find it a bit difficult to correct themselves. So if you are not breastfed, you could be undernourished or you could be overnourished. Both of them have problems. They are all related to lifestyle issues as you and health issues as you grow up. Yes. So if you want your child to be a healthy adult, the right time to start is as a baby with breastfeeding.
Right. This is going to be a tough question. Breastfeeding and HIV.
Breastfeeding and HIV. Initially, there weren't good medicines, especially in our part of the world, for HIV. But now we have good medicines here, all over the country. We have good medicines for HIV.
Here in Ghana?
Yes, here in Ghana.
Oh, okay. Right.
Now, in HIV, even for the adults, partners, we are saying U is equal to U, which means that undetected is untransmissible. We have medicines that will make it, when you test, the numbers of the virus in the blood is so low, it's undetectable. For the baby, the same thing. So when the mother is pregnant at antenatal, all women are tested for HIV multiple times because we want to find out which women are HIV positive. Not to stigmatize them, to make sure that they are put on medication and reduce the number of the virus in them. And that makes it very difficult for them to transmit the virus to their babies. And when the babies are born, because we know that the mothers are HIV positive, the babies are also put on medication to prevent, in the unlikely chance that the mother is still able to transmit, to prevent the babies from getting it. So, breastfeeding and HIV, two things. The mother should be tested for HIV. If found positive, the mother takes medication. The baby is given some medication for a specified period after birth to prevent mother-to-child transmission of HIV. And the babies do excellently. We test them, we test them. They don't get HIV. And the mother can breastfeed. In fact, it is even very difficult culturally for an HIV positive mother to say that they are not going to breastfeed at all. So what they tend to do is that when the mother-in-law comes, then they breastfeed. When the mother-in-law goes, because they are afraid of transmitting the virus to their baby, then they add on formula. And that is the most dangerous combination. HIV, when you mix formula feeding with breastfeeding, you are more likely to transmit the virus to your baby than if you are on medication and you do breastfeeding, or you choose to only do formula feeding. But in our environment, we encourage all the women to do exclusive breastfeeding, the HIV positive women. What you need to do is to be on medication and let the healthcare workers also know, so that when you deliver, then the baby is given medication to prevent transmission. Sometimes because of stigma, the poor woman doesn't want to tell anyone that she's HIV positive. And that is also a recipe for disaster. Because like I said, your baby is supposed to be given some medication to prevent you transmitting to the baby. And so when you don't disclose it, then it makes it difficult to do the right things by the baby. And you're increasing the baby's chances of getting infected. So that also goes to the healthcare workers as well, or the healthcare team. Anybody who works in a hospital. Stigma is just bad. For anything, stigma is just bad because it prevents people from telling us the truth so that we can do the right things for them.
Exactly. Right. And so the last question, we are going to delve into child road safety campaign. And someone is asking, hey, someone is asking if it's safe as a father to, to once in a while, visit the wife for some breast milk. And his claim was that, look, it helps his wife's likeliness to contract breast cancer.
There is no study that shows that when adult men breastfeed, their wives do not get breast cancer. But there are so many studies that show that when women breastfeed their babies, it reduces their risk of contracting breast cancer.
Okay, so it's for the babies rather, not the fathers?
Not at all. It's for the babies. The babies, they are so small.
Okay.
They need food to grow. So why will adult men be wanting to take their food from them?
Hey, my cameraman is smiling. I think he's a. That's a one. Right. So, in 2019, there were 2,137 road accidents. Out of those 2,137, 11.3% of this happened with children below the ages of 16 years of age. This is a very disturbing factor. That's rather disturbing. Now, I want to understand, why don't we get to hear about some of these road accidents with regards to children?
Well, everywhere, Ghana, everywhere, we normally think about adults before we think about children. Yes, and that's sad, especially when it comes to road safety, because you see, children are affected in two ways. First of all, they themselves can be involved in a road traffic accident.
Okay.
And for children, their bones are more fragile, so they are more prone to injury. Their brains are developing, so any injury will disrupt the development of that brain.
Okay.
They are more likely to die just because they are smaller, and when they are severely sick, it's more difficult to handle them. That's one way in which children can be affected.
Okay.
The other way in which children can be affected is that when a child's parent is involved in a road traffic accident, that child may lose a breadwinner because the parents may die. The parents may be crippled. And once a child's parents, or once a child loses a breadwinner, it's the same as the child getting affected. The child won't go to school, will be malnourished, will fall prey to all sorts of things, So actually, in any road traffic accidents, the children are the worst losers. So it's interesting or sad that we don't get to hear about them. We always think about the adults first. Okay. Even when it comes to sharing national cake, we think about the adults before the children.
So child accidents does not really center around children being involved directly, but it encompasses the fact that children are affected when breadwinners also get involved in some of these accidents.
Definitely.
Right. What is the expectation? Because I see there's a whole awareness. I mean, the Pediatric Association or Society of Ghana, there's a whole awareness that you are embarking on. Now, who is solely involved in this? Which body in Ghana is solely involved in this?
So we like to engage with the stakeholders. So the transport unions, the GPRTU, National Road Safety Commission, the police service, even the roads and highways, because if the roads are not good, yes, so all these people that have a part to play. And of course, Pediatric Society, we are involved because anything that has to do with children, we are in the center of it. We are the advocates for children as well. And my own organization, Baby, Child and Co., we've tried to raise a lot of awareness on anything that has to do with children. So road safety campaign, breastfeeding, anything that has to do with children, we are involved in it.
Right. So we'll start with the car safety guidelines. The children I'm supposed to be in seat belts and all that, and then the belt lies across the middle of the chest and shoulder, not the neck or face. People go that high. So
you see, sometimes the child is too small for the seat belt. So whereas when you wear it, it goes across your shoulder.
Okay, so
because
the strap.
The child, yes, because the child is too small, then it goes across the neck. So a child who is too small should not sit in a car with a seat belt.
Okay.
The child should be in a child or baby car seat. Initially, it should be rear facing or facing the back. And when the child is 2 years, then the baby car seat turns forward.
Okay.
Yeah. So sometimes you may find people, they have a baby car seat, all right, but they feel that the child should also look forward because they are looking forward. Then the newborn baby is facing forward. That doesn't give the child the protection that the baby car seat is supposed to provide. Yes. And then the forward-facing car seat, the baby should be in it until the baby outgrows the weight and height limits of the manufacturer of the seat belt. Then the baby should move into, the baby needs what is called a booster. to raise the baby up a bit when the baby is the child is sitting in the car. Now it's a child, and the baby should do that until the child should do that until he's old enough to move out of that one and go into the ordinary car seat belt. Right. But when the baby moves out too early, you find that the car seat is going across the neck, and sometimes too, the baby is in it or the child is in it. It's just too loose. There's no protection, you know. Yes. And again, when the adult is belted, then that adult is more likely to remember to ask the child to be belted or to fix the child properly in a seat
in the same manner.
Yes.
Oh yeah. Right.
Yes. But most of the time, adults are driving. They are not in seat belts, which is also very bad. One thing mothers struggle with when they are the ones driving is that the babies tend to cry. When you put the baby in a baby car seat and you are driving, then the babies tend to cry. And sometimes you are forced to take the baby out of the baby car seat because the toddlers, they don't like it. They have a will of their own. Or the babies, they just want to have more interaction with you and then they are crying. But you should remember that in so doing, you are putting the baby at so much risk, or your child at so much risk. If anything happens, the baby will, you know, look at the weight of the baby and imagine there's a collision. You are bigger, and so the force that will move you, the same force will not move you at such speed. But because the baby is smaller, the force pushes them so much, you know. So just imagine that because the baby is crying so much, you bring the baby out for 15 minutes or even 5 minutes, 1 minute, and within that 1 minute, the unfortunate thing happens. Yes, so these are some of the things we should watch. Sometimes you actually find parents driving. Their children are sitting on their laps while they are driving. You may think that you are doing that out of love, but it is so unsafe, extremely unsafe. There's no protection for the baby, and likely because you are carrying the baby on your lap, you yourself, you are not in a seat belt. It's just a disaster waiting to happen. Yes, so these are some of the things that we should look at, and the people who are to enforce it also should look at. Yes, no child should sit in the front seat unless that child is 13 years old. But we find small children, because the parent is driving, they want to sit in front. Sometimes because that's where the radio and things, they want to be able to touch.
Want to touch.
Yes, but it is so unsafe. It doesn't really show that you are showing love, because you are exposing your child to danger. It just, I don't know, it's a bit not responsible. That's actually the right way. And then there are children who are crossing the streets all by themselves. Children, by their developmental age, they cannot judge speed very accurately. So a car is oncoming with some speed, but they can't judge it. They may think that they can outrun. They go across trouble. Even to walk, you know, sometimes because of issues with balance, because they are just toddlers and so on, they are easily prone to falling and all these things. So when you leave those children alone, accidents may happen.
Yeah, one thing I have noticed is that when I always have to make way for school kids to cross, there was always one person who ran seconds after everybody is gone, probably because he dropped an eraser or maybe a toy. Right. So in such situations, what should the driver do when he sees children crossing? What are some of the things? Because some drivers think, oh, so there's a zebra crossing, the kids are all gone, I can now move. Should that be the case, or there's something else that the driver should look out for?
So you should also always drive as if your child is on the road. You should always drive as if your child is on the road. You may be in such a hurry, but you should always drive as if your child is on the road. When you go to any place where children are likely to cross, you need extra patience. Like when you get to where a school is situated or there's a market situated. You should be always very vigilant. And another thing is that the children, some of them, I mean, it's not that they are short because they are children, and you may not even see them well. So wherever you know that children are likely to be, when you are driving, you should be extra cautious there. And where there are going to be a lot of children, like a school where there's a school, children should be assisted to cross. It shouldn't be the child's responsibility to stand at the roadside and flag for a driver to stop for them to cross. It's so unsafe. Like you said, somebody may be behind, but if there's an adult, the adult knows that the child is still behind and has a way of getting you to still stop while the child walks across, not run, walks across, because you see a car and you are running, you can actually fall.
Yeah,
And then that's also, if maybe the car doesn't hit you, you can hurt yourself because you have fallen. Yes, so always, an adult who is driving, you should always drive as if your child is on the road.
Right. So, what are some of the activities the PSG has put in place towards, pushing some of these awareness agenda across board?
So we are mainly advocates because we are the clinicians. We are those who sit in clinic and attend to ill children. Yes, so we are mainly advocates like we are doing now. So we hold the bears, we go to churches and talk to them. We come on the radio and TV and talk to them, and then we engage stakeholders. We write articles, we write letters to them. So we are mainly just advocates because like you would know, there are different bodies to do these things, but just because we look out for the children, so we just advocate.
Oh, I see. How active are you on social media?
Pediatric Society of Ghana has a Facebook page, an Instagram page. So if you look for PS, your Pediatric Society of Ghana, you will find. I personally, who owns Baby Child and Co, very, very, very active on social media. You find me on Facebook, I have a babychildandco.com, even on YouTube you'll find. Yes, so we are active. We try to engage. But remember that we are just advocates. Our work is actually in the clinic. Yes, but we just want to give a voice to the children because, they can't come and sit here and say, breastfeed me or help me to cross the street. So we do that for them.
Exactly. Right, and so you make sure you protect the young ones wherever you are. Now, I want to push in something. Now, the road safety protocols applies everywhere, even in environments where you find the children. And so you know that there's a particular speed rate that you go when you get to where children are. You don't speed past where children are. You look out for zebra crossing. There are some drivers who don't know, as it stands now, that once the pedestrian's legs touch the zebra crossing, they need to stop.
So somebody should be, watching and catching them.
Exactly. And school authorities, please make sure there are individuals assigned to help children. Between 5:30 a.m. and 8, children are commuting from their homes to the schools. And then you can let these people go. Maybe back later in the day between 2 and 5 p.m., these people can come back and ensure that the children are safe and sound. These are our future leaders, and we can't afford to lose them all the time. So I'll come back to Dr. Wadri for her final words.
This week we are all about breastfeeding.
Okay.
We want our babies to be breastfed. It's when you see a baby who is well breastfed, there's just this glow to them. They are so beautiful. When you see them, they look so healthy, so beautiful. Breastfeeding will keep you from the hospital at least until the baby is 6 months, because it protects against all these diarrheal illnesses, cold and cough, all these pneumonia and so on and so forth. So breastfeeding is the best start to any baby's life, but start it early. And if you have problems with breastfeeding, reach out. Sometimes, especially the first-time mothers, it's difficult. That's just how it is. So you need a lot of support, and there are people there to support you. So reach out, talk to your midwife, talk to your doctor or your baby's doctor. You can also find Baby Child and Co. Pediatric Society. We are also active on social media. You can find, so that let somebody help you, because even though it's good, you will need to be supported to do it. Yes. The fathers, the grandmothers, everybody should get involved so that the babies can be exclusively breastfed. And beyond 6 months, you should breastfeed beyond 6 months. The breastfeeding doesn't stop at 6 months. It's just that it's exclusive until 6 months. But from 6 months onwards, you need to add on modified family foods or complementary feeding or weaning foods. Yes, you should breastfeed if you can until the baby is 2 years old, but for the first 6 months exclusively. Right,
so that's Dr. Seiram Wadri. One Wadri guy I know is a very good singer. He sings. And then the other Dr. Seiram I know is Seiram Mr. Awame. I don't know whether you've heard about him.
So we are all nice people. The Seirams and the Wadris.
So she's with the PSG, the Pediatrician Society of Ghana, and she's the CEO of Baby Child and Co. You can check it out, babychildandco.com. And this morning we've spoken extensively on breastfeeding and the Breastfeeding Week celebration, and of course, child safety on the road. My name is Prince Michael. This is how we wrap up the show for this week. And just gone by was my brother, Sam Kusiapia, who did a few political talks here and there. We brought you the newspaper review. Jonathan Ama came your way with the AM news at 6. On this note, I say stay safe. The COVID-19 is still a ravaging savage out there. And so keep your social distancing, mask up, and your hand sanitizer should be your best friend at this point. That's how I say goodbye. Stay safe with all love.